saying never meet your heroes? Well, I did. And it was awesome. The Avengers were everything I imagined.
Hello, San Francisco!
The Marvel Avengers game is just around the corner, guys, but we jumped into the beta, and though it was pretty cool, there was definitely some beta connection issues. Nate, how did the game go for you over that past weekend?
Well, man, I had a pretty good time with it. I thought the overall look of the game, wow, it looks like, it's one of the last games of the current generation. It is probably one of the best looking games. Mm-hmm. Even on the loading screen when you're just looking at the Hulk or
Super
Thor
cool.
and they just get a zoom in close up on his face, you can see everything. And I'm just playing on an Xbox One, we were playing on the PS4 and I wasn't playing on the Pro, so I didn't have that extra detail, but it still looked astounding. But what did you think, Corey?
Well, you know what, Nate? That's definitely what drew me in, right from the get-go. This has been a highly anticipated game, so being able to hop into this beta was a pretty awesome experience because this plays out kind of like a movie, or it feels like you're watching an animated version of the Avengers, right? It's just the way, it's very cinematic the way it plays out, so I really liked jumping into this one because the way they kind of get you through the tutorial is kind of you get to test out everybody, but kind of in one giant long action sequence. And for me, that's the experience you want to have, especially when you're testing out a game kind of that's been hyped up this much. Mm-hmm. And it's just, it's at that level where it definitely was enjoyable jumping in. But kind of like you said, Drew, there's some connection issues when you go kind of past the tutorial. Do you want to kind of get into that?
Yeah, absolutely. We made it past the tutorial, and then I connected with my brother online and a couple buddies. And honestly, it was sitting there for probably a good half hour trying to connect and party up. And it was just one nightmare after another. Now, obviously, this is a beta, and we're trying to get into that. But the biggest part about the game is after you're done the single-player content, you hit the war table, and you can go out and group up, right? And you can do co-op and have a great time. And you want to go out, loot, get your gear, but you want to do that with friends. You don't want to be out there by yourself the entire time. Like you just said, Corey, the action sequence made it, dude, I felt like I was playing a Marvel movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that Avengers opening sequence of, the introductions to everybody was so short, though. I was like, okay, now I'm on to Cap. Well, how does he work? And then now I'm on to Black Widow, and how does she work? And I was just like, man, you get a small taste, and then it's over. I was like,
It's a beta.
Yeah. But I think that's actually part of the game too, right? Is the fact that their tutorial is just so short. It's there to tease you with all the characters, but then after it's all said and done, you don't get Cap, you don't get Thor for the beta anyways, right? Apparently Cap has passed away. That's yet to be actually seen. However, as we played through the game, the combat to me I thought was cool. There were parts, though, even in the beta, I'm like, I get it's a beta, but at the same time, it makes me nervous moving forward how repetitive this is being around the war table. You're going to go out and do harm missions. Harm is kind of like, almost like a tutorial in a sense, too. Helps you go into this war room and you fight and learn your maneuvers and your tactics and things like that. And there are going to be challenges set towards that. And if that's the case moving forward with the game, it has me a little worried because I don't want to be there the entire time, just in a tutorial setup, fighting just waves and waves of enemies, where I'd rather be out there the entire time with friends, with you guys, with my brother, and just having a good time leveling up Thor or Hulk. And I think that's really where the gameplay shines, but at the same time, it has me nervous that every time we set out, it's just going to be repetitive.
Yeah, I can see your fear with that. We'll have to definitely see more as we hopefully I think we get another beta actually soon.
Yep.
So hopefully we'll get more content. Probably not. It'll probably just have, some bug fixes and stuff like that, so you can actually connect with each other.
Oh, man.
But, let's kind of talk about the armor system, because as you're traversing these missions and exploring, so to speak, you can actually pick up like loot boxes. It was pretty funny when you're the Hulk. You actually you're like ooh, and you kick it open.
It just kicks it open.
And then and then you actually get there's I think 4 things that you can customize on your character. It's like your weapon slot, your armor slot, and then 2 other slots. So it seems pretty cool. I was kind of happy to see an RPG system kind of implemented into this. What did you think, Corey?
Well, actually, Nate and I were talking about this a little bit earlier, and I like the layout of the menus. I think, everything's there for you, but the thing that caught me off guard at first was the cursor. Okay.
Yeah, classic.
And I get you can use the D-pad, but the D-pad wasn't as intuitive as you wanted it to be. Like if I was selecting an item, one of my armor items, and I got something new, you can hold L2 and it'll just give you everything new, give you the best armor, whatever you've got that's higher, it'll equip it. That isn't necessarily how you always want to customize your builds with these characters, right? Sometimes early levels, I can see you just get a higher piece of equipment, toss it on, right?
Yeah.
But when that was kind of one of those hang-ups where I was like, really? Like, this is where it's going to hang up for me in this game, is going to be, traversing this menu system, which isn't, like I said, the menu isn't, confusing. It's laid out fairly well. It's just kind of that weird little hiccup with this cursor, and it's like, get this thing off my screen. I don't, you know what I mean? So it was something silly like that kind of caught me. But I did really enjoy when we got to play as all these characters, actually kind of seeing how they implement some of their abilities, because I had to do a little camera angle work. I zoomed my camera out a little bit because I thought the default was maybe in a little too tight, especially when you're fighting multiple enemies. So I was actually able to zoom the camera out slightly in that view, so it gave me a better kind of field of range, I guess, moving around, especially when you're the Hulk, because he takes up the whole screen. But again, everything feels so kind of movie production quality, especially when it comes to the action in this game. And I just couldn't stop smiling every time something blew up, or when you're the Hulk, you just get to grab a giant piece of steel off the ground and huck it at something. It's just it really puts you in that feeling like you are part of the Avengers, as cliche as that sounds.
No, absolutely.
And I found a lot of people were kind of worried about the direction that they chose with, the characters, just because we have all the movies that most people like. I love the movies, and I love Thor and Captain America. Yeah. So it was, honestly, for me, at first, I was a little worried, because I'm like, am I going to be able to have the same attachment to these characters? I know it's still Captain America, but it's not the same guy. But anyways, I actually really liked what they did. Like you said in that introduction video, it was a little short with each of the characters, but it just felt like I was watching a Marvel movie.
No, absolutely. And I thought the voiceover, I got used to
perfect.
It. But it's funny, if you followed some of these actors like Troy Baker or Nolan North, you're like, ooh, there's Nolan. There's Troy. And you're kind of like, man, Troy, Bruce, okay. And but you get used to it after a while, right? So it falls into place. But part of me is sitting there going, there's Drake from Uncharted. Nope, that's actually Iron Man. So, you kind of get this relationship that you follow these voice actors for so long, and then to have them implemented into other games and take the roles of some of these iconic heroes, it's just so cool to see. And then the experience, and my brother was all in for Iron Man, and I went right to Black Widow. And by the time we were done for the beta, I was up to level 26, I think, for power level and stuff.
So pretty good.
Yeah, I was in there and I was grinding. It was cool, right? That's how much it hooked me already. But I did have those concerns of how much longer is this gonna have that mentality to be able to keep me coming back for more loot. And when you do get the gear, none of our gear changed. Right? That was the other thing. I want my gear to change. It needs to have that appearance effect for me to really stick around and not just level up my hero.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Anthem-esque. I don't want to say it, but it is. All right?
Yeah.
It's got that same feel where it's just this game feels good. The combat's good. It's fun to play with other people. But how much content are you going to give me to keep me going in this game after I'm done the main story? And hopefully, if they've even heard of a game called Anthem, they've maybe looked and seen what they
got a roadmap
moving forward. You know what I mean? So it's just it is shades of a game like that, where it feels very similar in the way that it's laid out. I'm just hoping that, I feel like I don't know, Anthem had a lot of money behind it too, but I I really hope that these guys can learn from mistakes like that and see that, you know, as long as you keep up a game of service like this and just keep updating it, you can have a game that lasts 4 or 5 years before people truly move on, right? So there's an opportunity here for them.
All in all, guys, I had a great time in the beta. It was short-lived over the weekend and stuff, but however, you know, it kind of gets us prepped up and experience a short experience of what we're going to get for the game. And I'm happy to see what I have. They just got to fix some of these connection issues and some of the bugs that we were experiencing. Like I had Hulk kind of fall halfway through the wall or through the floor, and his arms are up, his feet are gone, you know? So there's definitely some polish that's needed, but if they can do that, man, we got one heck of a game. What do you think in there, Nate?
Well, man, I was gonna say actually, I love the Hulk, man. He was one of my favorite cartoon characters growing up. So being able to play as him and like the way they made him, I'm stoked to see what this game has for us in the fall. And I don't know, man, I can't wait just to see all the superheroes and just some more missions. And what about you, Corey?
Well, we know how big the Marvel Universe can be, so I think that's really what they're going to have in their back pocket here, is there's just so many characters you could add into a game like this. So I think the sky's the limit for this game. First impressions, I think, are on the above average side for me. I really got hooked in the way the game plays. I think the beta wrinkles and issues we're having are just beta issues. I think hopefully come launch they will be smoother. I know we'll always have issues, but game-breaking issues, I don't see it necessarily for this game, at least right away, hopefully. Fingers crossed. I think it's going to be a really good game. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. I think Corey summed it up with saying Marvel's Avengers, sky's the limit.